Right now, there are 6 senses to your experience. You have seeing, touching, tasting, hearing, and smelling. Then there is one last sense to your experience, which is what allows all the other senses to be sensed. That is your first-hand primary sense of being. The sense of being alive. This sense of being alive is not itself a sense in the ordinary sense. It is the primary sense that allows all other senses to be sensed. So everything in your experience right now, you know it only because there is at first the primary experience of being alive, which we could just refer to as being. Being is aware. So being is aware of these senses. These senses, we can call them the mind. That includes thought. Thought is a sense-like experience. Even memory is a seeing-like experience. Feelings are sensation-like experiences. We can just categorize them as the mind. Anything that we can experience through our senses or internally through our senses is the mind. And that which allows the mind to be known is the fact of being aware. And being aware is being. We are being aware. Being is the primary experience that is aware of our senses. So pure consciousness is to simply recognize that which is aware of experience without referring to an object. So usually we say, I am aware because I see a cup, I hear a bird, I feel my hands on the table. We usually refer to consciousness only respective to an object. But the problem is when we do that, we are clothing being, we are clothing our sense of pure consciousness in the content of experience. Now, that's not usually an issue, but it is an issue when we then believe that I am fundamentally the things that I experience. So basically, if we are pure consciousness, and when pure consciousness believes itself to be the things we experience, then that's when we suffer. So suffering arises when pure consciousness over-identifies, and in that process, identifying is fine, but in that process believes it is that which identifies with, and then goes into the body and the feelings and things like that. So we have essentially taken pure consciousness, mixed it up with a load of thoughts and feelings, believed we are the thoughts and feelings, therefore we suffer. So what we're doing right now is just recognizing we have the 5 primary senses and the 6th fundamental primary sense of being. That fundamental primary sense of being is literally what pure consciousness is. Pure consciousness is pure being. Being is the fact that you exist. That which exists is conscious. It is conscious of itself. That's how we know we are being. That's how being is. Your sense of being, you know it. You know your being. You know you are being. And that knowing that you're being, without referring to an object and saying the object is being, the knowing that you are being is the experience of pure consciousness. And pure consciousness doesn't have a size, shape, form, or color because it is pure. Ask yourself right now, what color is the sense of being aware? What color is awareness? What color is being? What size is being? It doesn't have a size, form, shape, or color because it is transcendent of size, shape, forms, and colors. What does it mean to transcend size, shapes, and forms and colors? It means to transcend time and space, because the only things that exist in time and space are things with starts and ends, size and shapes, colors and forms. And something that exists, namely being or awareness, they're the same. Something that exists that does not have a size, shape, form, or color is transcendent of the mind. So when we talk about transcending the mind, transcending this, transcending that, we're basically saying to recognize something and to bring our attention to something that doesn't exist in time and space. So usually you go about your day, you look at this thing, this thought, this feeling, this person, this conversation, you look at things. Your attention, that means your attention, the thing you attend to, goes to somewhere in time and space. Somewhere where there is an identifiable form, color, start, stop, come and go, ending thing. To transcend the mind, to recognize pure consciousness, is to literally just bring your attention to being. It sounds too simple, I know, because it is too simple. It's that simple. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. The thing that can be complicated or complex is the process of disentangling your belief that you can only be aware if there is an object there. That's the primary stuck little belief. This is one of the hurdles on this path, is the complexity of the mind that has entangled itself in objects, that therefore gets stuck in thinking, I can't be aware of pure awareness because I can only be aware of an object. This is how easy it is to solve it. You simply recognize the fact that you are aware is by itself the recognition of awareness itself, and you didn't use an object to do that. It's just as simple as realizing that. You didn't go, I'm going to look at this book to then realize awareness, because then this is the thing. If you looked at the book to realize awareness, well, then you didn't need the book to realize awareness. You went to the book, then you realized awareness. But the fact that you realized awareness, whether before or after, is simply you recognizing awareness. And the part where you recognized awareness, you didn't actually use the book to go there. You just thought you needed the book or thought you needed the thing or the object to go there. But by nature of you being capable of recognizing that awareness is present, in the moment of recognizing it, there is no object taking place. You are not bringing your attention to a thought, to an object or a thought or a thing. You are actually experiencing pure awareness. And because there is no objective quality, you instantly assume, you superimpose the existence of an object that was present because you're not used to knowing something that doesn't exist in time and space. Let me say that in a more normal way. You're not used to knowing something that doesn't have a size, shape, form, color, or start or end. You're used to knowing things. You're used to knowing a thought that starts and comes and goes, that sounds kind of like a sound. You're used to feeling a feeling that seems like a thing in your stomach. You're used to seeing an object that's all colorful and lively. You're not used to knowing something that doesn't have a form or dimension. You're used to knowing dimensions. Consciousness is dimensionless. So when you know something dimensionless, you're not knowing a thing. And guess what? You can't remember something that doesn't have an objective quality. The only things you can remember are things, because what else would there be to remember other than things that have a memorable quality, like a size, shape, form, color, or start or end? So you can't remember consciousness because it doesn't have a size or a shape or a form or dimension. You can only remember something that has dimensions. You cannot remember something dimensionless. So this is why it seems as though the minute you know awareness in a pure condition, which is simply you can now by simply being aware of being aware, that knowing of awareness is instantly then by your mind clothed again by objects, because you're going, whoa, but I must have known an object because there's no objects didn't disappear. So I must have, your mind is going, what was there when nothing was there? I don't know, because I don't know what, but the mind wasn't involved. Your mind is the things you experience. That which observes the mind is not the mind, you see? The mind is the 5 layers of the senses which I experience, including thoughts and feelings. There's nothing else to the mind other than that. So your mind is basically this is how I refer to it. The mind can be me when I believe I am the mind, and what you really are is pure consciousness. And pure consciousness observes the mind. And when pure consciousness observes the mind, sometimes it can get wrapped up in the mind. And then therefore memory can superimpose the times where pure consciousness is experienced and say an object was there when it wasn't. So the more accustomed we get to this, it's really important, because this is the first fundamental primary step on this path, which is to recognize you can be aware of awareness without the experience of an object there. This is the first glimpse into realizing awareness is autonomous. This is the first fundamental experience. Anything you take away from this video, if you've understood it so far, is to realize that you've just realized the autonomy of consciousness. You've realized you don't need to click a button, do a thing, remember a thing in order to access consciousness, because consciousness accesses itself irrespective of the content of the mind. That means the consciousness is unlimited to the mind, which is your first glimpse into infinite awareness, into realizing what truly infinite awareness is. So the first step is to recognize pure consciousness amongst the noise of experience. The second step then is to recognize the nature of the mind. And the third step, which you've just also glimpsed, is to recognize the autonomy and the infinite nature of consciousness. For more on this, I have a free community. The link's in the description. I'd love to see you there. Have an amazing day, guys. Take care. Bye.